Already? Wow.
What? Haiku.
Haiku, yeah. Four line
Three,
verses.
four, three,
Sure.
or something
No,
like that.
you know how you can get people to.
After a short emotional
I got
break.
more.
now-
Emotional break.
Okay, welcome to lecture 13. We will be actually beginning our journey through call type verbs. Call perfect, strong verbs. That means that there are weak verbs and there are all other kinds of verbs under call stem. So we'll be learning the strong ones today. Okay, call stem. Call verbs are active in voice, as we have already learned, with simple or unnuanced type of action. The simple action of the call stem is further divided into transitive, intransitive, and stative. And we can find out what are the transitive verbs. Transitive verbs may take a direct object. Example of the Prophet wrote the book. The word book is the direct object of the verb. The word wrote because it's a direct object of the verb wrote because it precedes the verbal action. So he wrote the book, so the verb transits or transmits the action to the book. Intransitive verbs cannot take a direct object. That's the first thing we should know about them. In the example, the king perished in the battle, the verb perished cannot take a direct object. Okay, so that would be example of the intransitive verb. And also other examples of intransitive verbs include to live, to die, or to fast. So they can't take a direct object. That's a simple distinction between intransitive and transitive verbs. Now there's a third type, stative verbs. Stative verbs are used to describe a state of being. That's why they're called stative. In the example, the priest is old. The word is, which is a type of to be verb, is actually the stative verb. It describes a state or condition of the subject, and the subject in this sentence is the priest. In English, a stative or a state of being idea is expressed with a form of the verb to be or is and an adjective ol. But in Hebrew, a state of idea is expressed through various verbs themselves, such as kaved, to be heavy, and katon, to be small. Most stative verbs are considered to be intransitive because they cannot take a direct object. Alright, that's distinction between transitive, intransitive, and stative verbs. The perfect conjugation for the call stem verb that we have to memorize today is used to express the completed action or state of being. It must be emphasized that the Hebrew perfect does not have tense, time of action that is, apart from context and issues of syntax. Rather, it signifies aspect or type of action. The perfect aspect also designates a verbal action with its conclusion envisioned in the mind of a speaker or writer. If we look at the example of the paradigm for the verb katao, to kill, third masculine singular is a lexical form. That's why it begins the paradigm. We'll begin always with a third person singular, second, and then we'll finish with the first common. It's kind of unusual, but since we know that in Hebrew everything's backwards, we're getting from third, second to first, as opposed to first, second, and third. So third masculine singular will be katao. Third feminine singular will be actually it's katla. There is a comma it's missing under kaf. Okay, and you see what is sufformative here. These are formative letters at the end. Suffix formative. That's why it's called sufformative. K is a formative here in third feminine singular. Second masculine singular, it's tau with comets, ka tau ta, you killed, you meaning men. Second feminine singular, ka tau t, so with a shava at the end as opposed to comets. You see that? Ka tau t, again, disregard that little star after a tau, after tet. Ka tau t with a formative t with hirakyod, I killed. Hirakyod is almost a giveaway for a first person common singular. And then katlu with a shurek at the end, third common plural, they killed. Well, it's actually not common plural. Oh yes, it's common because it's both for females and males the same way. Second masculine plural will be ketal tem. Second feminine plural ketal ten. See, these pronominal suffixes appear again and again and again, and I can't emphasize how well you have to know them in order not to memorize these new paradigms. It's just a given. And then the first common plural is katal nu, with a nu, which is also a good giveaway for first common plural. So this is the paradigm for call perfect. I mean, it's going to get a little bit more confusing when we'll get to some other forms of the verbs, but this is very easy to memorize. Just make sure you know your pronominal suffixes, and the verb hardly changes, only with the rules of proper tonic reduction. When you add a long vowel in the suffix, it changes the spelling in the previous. So stated verbs, they're classified by their stem vowel. The stem vowel is the vowel that is associated with the second root consonant. So let's move. In transitive strong verb paradigms, the stem vowel is pathak, as in katal, shamar, and zakar, or zahar. With stative verbs, the stem vowel is variable, so it could be different. Let's look at the stative verbs. They're usually called pathak stative, serious stative, or holm stative verbs. And as an example for pathak stative, gadal is the verb for to be great. Tsere stative, which means the second vowel is not patak but tsere, so therefore it's tsere stative, and then it will be kaved, to be heavy. And then holem stative, which means the second vowel point is holem, so katon will be to be small. By the name of their second vowel, they are basically classified as patak, tsere, or holem stative. Another example of these, hakam or haham, to be wise, zaken, to be old, and yakol, to be able. Same classification. How do we parse the verbs? The parsing of perfect verbs involves the identification of the verbal stem, so you have to name first. It's a kal stem. Conjugation, whether it's perfect, strong verb, weak verb, is it imperfect, and so on and so forth. Then person, gender, number, and verbal root. If it's other verb than kal, then you have to give its kal lexical form. Okay, it's got to be pretty simple. When parsing, give the appropriate information in the proper order as the following examples illustrate. Translation is not a required part of parsing information. So, for example, this is the verb zakarti or zacharti. It's a kal perfect, first common singular from zahar, I remember. So that's the way I would expect you to identify the verbs in your homework. Okay? But I think they're also supposed to be translated. If they're not, I would want you to. Well, since if you identify it, there's only one more step and you already know the translation. Shamarte, or shamart rather, call perfect second feminine singular from shamar, you observed, or you heard. What we also have to learn on this stage of the verbs, we have to learn that to negate a verb statement, you would usually use the particle law. Law, if you read the 10 Commandments, most of them are negative commandments. Therefore they say, do not do this. And since the second word after the particle is also a verb, then those statements start with the particle law. Law, and then do not kill, do not do this, do not do that, and so on and so forth. So most of the commandments actually start with that particle, law. What does this particle do? Perfect and imperfect verbs are negated with the particle law, usually translated not. We already know some negation statements with ain, right? Ain, right? There is not, so on and so forth. Well, this one is not used with verbs. The law is more frequently used with verbs than the particle ain. It may also be spelled in its full form with the presence of middle vav, which will be also law. That's called full spelling, and it doesn't differ in any way in its meaning. So it could be either with small holum or holum vav. The negative particle is always placed immediately before the verb that it negates. It should be pretty self-explanatory. For example, in the sentence, Lo shmartem eth hatorot. You did not observe the laws. We'll see the shmartem is a second person what? Masculine or feminine? Masculine. Is that singular or plural? Plural. So law will negate that you did not observe the law. So in a way it's a statement, okay? It's a negated statement. And hatorot, is that plural or singular? Plural. Feminine or singular? Feminine or masculine? Feminine. Is that?
It's definite.
And it's definite. Okay, so the laws, that means the Torah, or the commandments. Okay, another example. Lo zacharta eth chabarit. You did not remember the covenant. So zachar is the lexical form. You have a subformative kametz tau at the end. You see zacharta. Which person is that? Which gender is that? It's masculine gender. Kametz is usually a sign of a masculine gender. Shva is usually a sign of a feminine gender on the suffix. So it's a singular, it's a second person masculine singular, and habarit is a definite for what word? Berit?
Covenant.
Covenant. That's right. Yes.
Zakar is.
Zachar.
Zakar is old man or elder, right?
Zakin.
Oh, okay.
Zachar means to remember.
Okay.
It's actually a Russian name that's Zachar.
Okay. Zahar.
Zechariah is
Zahar.
the name derived from this word.
You're saying Zahar Ta? Wouldn't it
Zaharta.
be Zaharat?
No.
You don't pronounce the comments before because it's the last.
The only way you use the pronunciation before